All right, so imagine you're at work. It's a random Tuesday morning. You're doing your usual tasks. You get a little distracted, your finger slips on the keyboard, and you accidentally hit the wrong key. Usually, what happens? You hit backspace, you fix it, maybe you delete a spreadsheet by accident and have to undo it. Annoying, but whatever. But on February 28, 2017, one engineer at Amazon didn't just delete a spreadsheet. This guy made a tiny typo, hit enter, and instantly deleted a massive chunk of the actual internet, like literally broke it. Within minutes, half the apps on your phone stopped working. Websites just vanished. Smart lights wouldn't turn on. Security cameras went blind. For about 4 or 5 hours, the digital world's just completely paralyzed. S&P 500 companies lost an estimated $150 million, all because one guy typed 3 or 4 letters wrong. Let me break down exactly how this happened, because the domino effect that day was honestly hilarious, terrifying, and kind of genius all at the same time. To understand how everything broke, you have to look at how the internet is actually built. Most people think the internet is this magical cloud floating in space. It's not. It's just a bunch of massive, ugly gray buildings filled with thousands of computers running 24/7. Amazon owns a huge chunk of these buildings. It's called AWS, Amazon Web Services, and inside AWS, they have this core system called S3. Basically, S3 is the giant digital warehouse where everyone stores their files. Every image you see on a website, every movie on a streaming app, every piece of data code, it's probably sitting in an S3 warehouse. Now, Amazon has these warehouses all over the world, but their biggest, oldest, and most important one is located in Northern Virginia. It's called US East 1. Because it's the oldest, almost every major tech company uses it. Netflix uses it, Slack uses it, Spotify, Trello, Apple, everyone. If US East 1 is happy, the internet is happy. If it gets sick, everyone goes down. So, it's 9:40 a.m. on a Tuesday. The S3 team notices that the billing system for this Virginia warehouse is running a little bit slow. No big deal. Standard procedure is to just take a few old servers offline, restart them, and let the system refresh. An authorized engineer logs into the system terminal. He writes out a quick command line to remove a small cluster of servers, and this is where everything goes completely sideways. The command he used required him to manually type in the specific names or number of the servers he wanted to take down. He typed it out, but he made a slight error in the input parameters. Instead of taking down a tiny handful of servers, his typo basically commanded the system to execute a massive, sweeping wipe of 2 core operational subsystems. He hits enter. Now, in a normal app, a little pop-up might say, "Are you sure you want to delete the entire internet?" But when you're deep in the back-end terminal of a cloud server, the computer assumes you know exactly what you're doing. It doesn't argue, it just obeys. Instantly, these 2 massive subsystems start shutting down. One of them was the system that handles metadata. Basically, that's the map of S3. It's the system that tells the computer, hey, if a user wants to watch a video on Netflix, that file is stored on server 49. Without that map, even if the files are perfectly safe on the hard drives, the system has no idea where they are. It's like walking into the world's biggest library, but someone completely burned the catalog and painted over all the signs on the aisles. You're just standing in a room full of useless paper. The engineer realizes what happened almost immediately. His screen probably started throwing red error flags. But with servers, once the shutdown sequence triggers, you can't just mash Ctrl+Z to undo it. The dominoes had already started falling. By 10 a.m., the internet started realizing it was bleeding. People walked into their offices, tried to open Slack to talk to their coworkers, dead. People tried to log into Trello or Asana to see what work they had to do, dead. Websites like Quora, BuzzFeed, and Medium just completely went dark. Even smart home devices stopped working. People literally couldn't turn on their bedroom lights because the light switch couldn't connect to an AWS server in Virginia to ask for permission to turn on. But the funniest, most ironic part of that entire day? The AWS Service Health Dashboard. Amazon has this famous public web page where they display the status of their services. If everything is working, there are all these beautiful green check marks. If something breaks, the light turns red so everyone knows what's going on. Millions of panicked IT workers and engineers around the world rushed to the status page to see what was wrong. And when they got there, all the lights were perfectly green. The page said everything was running flawlessly. Why? Because the status page itself and the little red icons it needed to display the error were hosted on S3. Amazon literally could not tell the world that their system was broken because the system they used to tell people was broken was the system that was broken. They literally had to go onto Twitter like regular citizens and post, "Hey guys, we are experiencing high error rates with S3 in US East 1. It was absolute comedy." Back at Amazon HQ, the pressure was insane. Every second that passed, companies were losing millions of dollars, and the engineering team was sweating bullets. You'd think, okay, just turn the servers back on. How hard can it be? Well, here's the thing. This specific Virginia system, US East 1, was so massive and had been running continuously for so many years that it had never undergone a full, hard restart of this scale. Think about your own laptop. If you don't turn it off for 3 months, it gets weird. Now imagine a system powering half the globe that hasn't been completely turned off in ages. Because it was so large, they couldn't just flip a giant light switch and power it all up at once. If they did, the sheer volume of millions of devices and apps instantly slamming the servers at the exact same microsecond would create a massive digital traffic jam, a DDoS attack that the servers would inflict on themselves. It would just crash the system again. They had to bring the system back online piece by piece, very slowly, checking every single file structure and index map to make sure nothing was corrupted. Hour 1 passes, Hour 2 passes, Hour 3 passes. The entire tech world is basically taking an enforced accidental holiday because nobody can do any actual work. Finally, around 1:54 p.m., after nearly 4.5 hours of agonizing tension, the map system finally loaded. The file indexes aligned, and the green lights on the dashboard actually meant something again. The internet slowly gasped back to life. Later that week, Amazon released a very formal, very polite apology letter. They didn't name the engineer, thankfully, because that guy would have been an internet meme forever, but they explained exactly what happened. And honestly, the biggest takeaway from that day isn't that one guy made a mistake. Human beings make mistakes every single day. The real eye-opener was realizing just how incredibly fragile the modern world is. We like to think of the internet as this untouchable, indestructible infrastructure, but the reality is, a huge portion of everything we rely on, our communication, our entertainment, our businesses, even our physical light bulbs, is resting on a very small foundation managed by just a couple of tech giants. And sometimes, all it takes to bring the whole castle crumbling down is one tired person on a random Tuesday pressing the wrong key. Next time you make a mistake at school or work, just remind yourself, at least you didn't accidentally delete Netflix for a Tuesday afternoon. Catch you guys in the next one.